Hello everyone, this is Mark. Just going to install some of these Hyper-Lite flashing LED brake lights to my 2018 Suzuki V-Strom. My brother Kevin wanted to see them working after I put them on. He's the one that found them on the web for me. I had actually found some license plate holders that had lights in them in different strips, but this company seemed amazing. I think it was just about $100. Yeah, 109, and the reason it was a little more than 100 was I bought the this license plate holder, and I'll show you that. It's already on the bike. I put it on yesterday. It was kind of cold, so I just decided to get it on there so I could do this today. And essentially the license plate holder is just like the one that's on your bike. Mine would actually be able to, I'd be able to mount the Hyper-Lites on the side of my license plate holder, but the side of my license plate holder already has a reflector on there. I didn't want to mess it up. And the one that they give you can be mounted both ways. So you'll see what I did is I inverted it. So this is going to be slightly outside of the license plate. So what I like to do is I read the instructions a couple times because it was a little confusing when I started, but I really understand it now. And I just wanted, because I found one person out there and it was already on his bike, so he was pointing to the bike, and I thought, nah, I wanted to make this video for anybody that wants to do this, because it's a little easier to see it out here on the table, and then I'll go out to the bike and show you what I'm doing. The two Hyper-Lites just have two wires. They have a blue and a brown on each one of these. And so that'll feed into the bike, and this right here is the controller. And the controller has blue and a brown wire as well. So all you're going to do is when these two wires from the actual lights come into under your seat, you'll simply take all three browns and twist them together, and all three blues and twist them together. Now this will allow this controller to not only power the lights, but also tell it when to blink, because what's going to happen is they're going to be on all the time because you're going to connect it into running lights, but then when you brake, it's going to flash. Now there is a green wire coming out of here, and that green wire you just leave it as it is, unless you want it to flash. I think it flashes for 5 seconds and then turns solid, and it will be brighter than the running lights. So if you wanted to, you just clip this wire and then wrap it with some electrical tape or whatever, seal it up. But I'm going to leave it the way it is. I just want it to flash continuously as I brake. So we already covered these two wires coming out of the controller. That's what's going to feed the power and control the flashing part of the two lights that you put on the outside. There's 3 more wires here, and what it says here in the instructions is you connect the red wire to the motorcycle brake light. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to tap into my brakes because I've already done it. I went out, and I'll put the link in the description. I went out and bought a really cool device for my V-Strom. It's bike specific. And what it is the connector that plugs into the taillight, you disconnect. You plug this device in, and then you plug that plug that you just disconnected into it, and it gives you 3 wires coming off. It gives you a ground, gives you the running lights, and gives you the brake lights. So this way you can tap those things. I took the red brake light from the Suzuki, from this device that I got from a guy in Japan of all places. It's $25, I think. And I connected that running light to a solenoid switch, and that solenoid is what turns on and off my fuse bank. So it's like a fuse box, but it's a fuse bank. And so what I have in my bike is I have already a switch fuse bank. When I turn the switch on, it fires up the fuse bank, which also fires up some front lights that I put on the bike. So I'm not going to be tapping into the brake light or the running lights because I already have an extra wire for the brake lights, and the running lights I don't need because I'm going to tap into that fuse bank. Then it says the gray wire. This goes to any ignition switched 12-volt circuit. So if you don't have that, you're going to have to tap into the wires, and I'm not doing this video on that. I'm just doing it on how it goes. So this I'm going to attach to my fuse bank, which will make it hot when the switch is ignited. This one I'm going to tap to that extra wire that comes out of that controller that I have that's actually fed into the tail light, and then the black wire is ground. So that's how it's going to do, and they give you these nice little tap things. These will tap, if you don't have the fuse box like I have, you can use these to tap in, and they even tell you down here in the instructions, you know, for Honda, it's the green wire for the, you know, so you can use these instructions to figure out which wire you need to tap into, and use these to tap into an existing wire to feed in the red, the gray, and of course the ground goes to black. They also give you these, which when you twist all three of the wires together, this is a nice little, it's almost like a regular electrical cap, but it's a little neater. So I'm going to put these in there as well. So that's how this all works. We'll go out to the bike in a bit, and I'll record that as well. Okay, I've stripped all the wires on both the lights themselves so I can twist them together. I've stripped wires for the controller here. Here we go. I've also added these little spade connectors. I would highly recommend getting a good crimping tool. This one is a ratcheting tool. These are $20 or $25, but they're definitely worth it. I've used the cheaper ones, and you just really can't get a good crimp. Also, I recommend using heat shrink. Just make sure you put these little tubes on prior to putting your connectors on, because then you want to be able to slide them over. I don't know if I can get a good shot here of it. There we go. So you can see the heat shrink really makes a nice seal after you've done the crimp. So I've got two there. One is going to be the gray wire. Remember, the gray wire is what powers the lights. This is going to hook up to my fuse block. The black wire can also hook to the fuse block on the side for the ground. The red wire is going to get connected to that extra wire that I have from the connector that I bought for the tail light. I did make a mistake earlier. I think I said the red wire. I'm using another wire coming out of that's just for the running lights. I think I said that later, but I said the red wire. What I have left over from that connector is a red wire, which is the brake light, and the brake light is what I'm going to connect this to. So my red wire coming out of my that connector, it's on the bike now, and this wire will go together, and that's what tells the controller that the brakes are on, so that it can start flashing. And then I have, of course, the blue and the brown, which will be connected up to the lights. So that's what I've done here. I've done it, and then also I wanted to show you something that I thought is really cool. I used this when I connected up my Chinese version of the Pia lights that are $50 instead of $1,200. This is really nice to run your wire through, so I think I'm going to use some of this when I run the wire from the tail section. I'm going to have to run it inside the wheel well and up into underneath the rear of the seat. So I'll show you all that on the camera when we get to doing that. And then something else I bought, because I'm thinking, okay, this has to go on the wheel well. I talked with an electrician guy, and he told me about these little things. Really cool. They have double-faced tape. He also said, don't use that tape. Use this tape, the Scotch Extreme mounts. I'm going to remove the tape off of these little mounts I got and use this Scotch mount. But what it is I'm going to put this on the inside of the wheel well, right? It'll stick in there, and then I can run zip ties around my what I'll call conduit. All right, so I got some of those as well. So now I guess that's all I wanted to tell you. Oh, and I wanted to tell you also about the length. There seems to be plenty. The wires that come off of the controller are about 14 inches long, and the wires that come off of the lights are almost 3 feet. I think it was 34 inches. So there should be plenty of wire to do the job here. And I think that's all I wanted to tell you for now. And now we can go outside and try to put it on the bike. Okay, like I said, there's so what you do is they give you this little bracket here. It goes right in the same place that the license plate goes. The license plate holder, you can see over here, the original license plate holder has reflectors on it. So this bracket's facing backwards, this bracket's facing forwards. There's just a little piece of tape, or a double-faced tape here that puts them on. So I've mounted them now, and I have the wire snaking around the back of my license. Then I went down in here and I started putting this tubing in here. So all the wiring will be inside the tubing, and then what I'll do is take and snake it up behind here and up into the seat. There's a hole right back here behind this. So we'll do that in just a second. Well, Gardener's out doing leaf blowing right now, so I came inside to remove the double-face tape off of a few more of these. I've already got one on the bike, so I'll show you how that looks. It's holding the conduit and kind of turning it into the wheel well. So all I would recommend on this thing is just once you get it started, you just really pull slowly and it will come off. And so what you want is that without the double-face tape on it, and then use that really heavy-duty double-face tape that was recommended at Home Depot. So it's working beautifully. So this is the most time-consuming part of the project, but we'll go out to the bike and finish it up. Okay, so now I've taken the tape off of these and placed it with this really strong tape, and I could tell it's just so much better. You basically just put the zip tie through it. You can go either this way or this way. So if you notice here, what I did, I can get a good shot here, is I'm bringing this conduit through to the first one, then I'll go up to this one and zip tie it, and then go all the way up into the seat. I'll probably put a few more. I made 6 just to be on the safe side, and I highly recommend this Scotch mount. It looks like it's really good tape. Feels like it is anyway. So we'll keep going here. And the conduit is really easy. Once you have the wires fit in, you can literally just take your finger and run it down, and those wires are nice and hidden in there. So, and then we'll cut it off at some point and shove it up into the tail of the bike. Okay, so the wires come together there in the back, come down, come up here, and then go up into a hole that goes into the back seat right there. So there's my fuse block. There's the controller. I take the blues and the browns, run them underneath here. This is what's coming up that I just showed you, the conduit. Twisted all of the browns together and twisted all of the blues together. This Posilock thing, or whatever they call it, is that they gave with the lights is really pretty cool. It works pretty well. You twist them all together, you throw it through here, and then you just, I don't think I can do it with one hand to show you, but you just screw this down, and it has a nice little, whatever it's doing in there, it looks like there's like a little shaft in there that causes it to lock together. This is the end result. So pretty slick. And then what I'll do is I'll come over here, and like I said, I've got to take the red wire, and back here is this tail light. This right here, the blue wire that comes from I'll send you the link. You know, it's called easternbeaver.com, and they sold me this nice little module that plugged into the tail light, and then my tail light wiring plugged into it, so the circuit's complete. And then I had 3 wires. The blue is what is going to I think I call it a solenoid, but it's actually a relay. So I have a relay down here. So the blue, when I turn the switch on, is the running lights. So as soon as the running lights come on, this gets hot, turns the solenoid on, which then fires up the fuse panel. So that's how the solenoid works. It's like a switch. It's an automatic switch that senses power coming from here. So I'm going to use this right here, which is the red one. This is the brake light, and I'm going to connect that up to the red coming out of the controller here, so that the controller knows when the brake light's applied to flash. Then I'm going to do the gray wire, which, like I said, I went ahead and put these little things on there. That can just go to the hot. So as soon as my fuse box lights up, then those LEDs are on permanent. You know, as long as the ignition's on, then the LEDs come on at a lower brightness, and then when you apply the brakes, it's a higher flashing brightness. So that's how it works. Well, there's the end result. It worked great. Excellent job by Hyper-Lite company.